All right, welcome to episode 6 of Tape Noise Podcasts. This is a continuation of the Muscle Shoals Storyteller series. Dan, my co-host, is not able to be here, but we have with us the Funky Side Studio retro artist, Jan A. Bruso. I'm saying your name correct, right?
You are. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you. So you guys are here in Muscle Shoals.
We are.
Hank Irwin is recording in Studio Beat right now.
Right now
drums.
as we speak.
So, yeah, we're in my studio, Heartel Studios, which is in the same building. So let's get started. You are an artist, but you're not just a person who paints and draws. You're a photographer, a videographer. You do logo designs. You're the true sense of an artist, right? So tell us about it.
When you put it in that respect, I've just always worked in the arts, even when I was younger, so it naturally became part of me. And my formal education is professional photography, and I did that for years, weddings, portraiture. That has taken off to a different side of portrait work. I photograph musicians more now. I always have, even when I was younger, I had a lot of musician friends that I used to photograph, but now it's gone to a different level where I'm photographing large venues and concerts and festivals. And the majority of my work right now, my focus is Hank Irwin. On tour with him. I completed his Kickstarter for him, the video.
Which is done really well.
Which was successful,
yeah.
And that is the reason we are here in Muscle Shoals.
So thank you to everyone who contributed to that Kickstarter
Absolutely.
account. I've, pun intended, kicked around the idea of that myself. Just not really sure if people would respond or how or what. But so tell us also about a little more about the Kickstarter campaign. How did that go down? I mean, you showed me the video, and your website is amazing, by the way. Guys, go to her website. It is www.retroartbyjan.com, which is amazing because that's exactly what it is. The Funky Side Studio, fine art and tattoo design. You're also a tattoo artist.
I am.
And not to just ramble here, but tattoo artists are artists. I mean, that's permanent.
It is permanent.
I mean, you got to get it right.
Yeah, you
There's
do.
no going back.
No, there's no going back. All of it, to me is all one art. When I look at, whether it be photography and I look at a subject, or I'm working on a design, painting or drawing, which translates into a tattoo, everything is, you've got your shapes, you've got highlights and shadows. So everything comes together in your composition. So to me, it's all one in the thing.
Or do you even have a favorite?
I go through phases. It depends what my focus is. Whatever my focus is, I'm in 100%.
See,
whatever
this
that
makes
is.
so much sense to me because there's a certain aspect of niching down that I think is right for a lot of people. But a lot of people will say in the music world, for instance, oh, you should only produce records, you should only mix, or you should only track, you should only songwrite, or only this or only that. I seriously cannot, within my soul, I can't draw those lines.
I can't either.
They blur for
because
me.
I explode inside with all
exactly
this creative energy.
I have to create in those different ways. And so I totally get it. I draw okay. I mean, I wouldn't say I would call myself an artist, and I dabble in photography, but there's a difference in that versus what you do. You are a true sense of the art form within that, and kind of paralleling the two with what I do. In the recording studios, they're their own world. Live shows, they're their own world. But I love the whole package because at the end of the day, it's all about communicating something from within yourself.
Absolutely.
I think that's amazing because you have what you want to convey, but sometimes you may not even know what that is until someone else sees or hears or reads or what views a video or whatever it is, and you get that feedback. And you're like, oh, that's what that was supposed to be.
That I actually get inspired from, the people that are bringing, my guests, customers, clients, however you want to word it. I get inspired from what they bring me. As we were talking prior to going on the air, we were discussing about creating logos and album covers or, EP covers for people. When my inspiration comes, it's generally brought from the energy I'm receiving from the person I'm working with. And that also, translates to photography, if I'm working with a person, you get that certain vibe, and somehow the images start to feel like the person. I could photograph 5 different people in one day, and they all have a different feel coming from their images. And it's, how I'm working with them, either it's high energy or it's nice and chill, and it all depends on the lighting or what they're wanting to show of themselves.
That's cool too.
So as we were talking about videoing and photography, I am currently working on Hank Irwin's tour, which I have so much footage from here.
So you're documenting the whole tour?
The entire tour. We've been on the road since June 7th, and today is August 12th, I think.
Wow. Okay, that's a lot of footage.
It is a lot of footage.
Is this the only location that he is recording, or is
This is the only location he's recording. He has been performing in different locations throughout the country as we've been moving around.
It seems like he's been getting some good feedback too, like good crowd response. I mean, is that from his
absolutely.
performances?
His performances are wonderful.
I checked him out on social media. Yeah, Hank Irwin, Facebook, Instagram, the whole thing. Social media. So check that out. It's really cool music. The guy has got talent. Dude can sing. I mean, he's incredible. He's really good. I've enjoyed kind of hearing a little bit of the nuggets here and there when I walk by. But yeah, Shauna Tucker's playing bass, and she was with the Drive-By Truckers. Incredible person. I've recorded her several times.
She's amazing.
Her bass tone is one of my favorites. I love to just hand her an amp, usually she brings her own amp. And she's like, well, how do you want to record it? Like, you do you. I love your sound. We're just going to put a mic on you and a direct box and capture what it is you do. So she's fun.
It's really funny. Yes, she is amazing. I loved spending time with her the past 2 weeks here in the studio. You were asking about my experience with everyone here. Mm-hmm. It's been incredible meeting everyone.
Ask her about organic gardening if you want to get on a tangent.
Yes, we've talked about gardening. We've talked about everything. We've talked about our dogs. We both have our little chihuahuas with us, which was ironic that we're, all together. But I am working on her EP cover. She's releasing some new music that she just recorded here. She told me she
had been working on it. And actually, I think that's the one. I've heard a little bit of that. Jamie Seago was an engineer, I think. And they did that in Studio B as well. Is that the one that's, I probably shouldn't say. That may be a thing.
I don't want to spoil anything she's doing. So other than that, I'm working with her on the design work. So that is another thing that I do.
Mum's the word on that. I'm probably not supposed to say. So either way, you need to get that record. I'm gonna be waiting on that one. So anyway, let's stay on topic. I'm rambling. So
no, it's all good. It's all good stuff here. It's a lot of energy and a lot of good projects happening for me.
Yeah. One thing I do want to ask you about, you said you've been photographing bands, live bands. Have you done much studio photography other than Hank, or is this like
no. My experience goes years and years back. That's all I did was studio work.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Studio lighting and all of that. I think now...
Now, studio lighting, do you mean like coming in the studio
into a studio where the
lighting system?
Yeah, the lighting is all set up, prior to, or, work with the customer,
I may need to pick your brain a little more on that, because I think every episode we have talked about the lighting in my studio. It's been a thing, because I hate fluorescent lights. They give me anxiety. Again, I go on this topic. I think this is what the podcast is going to end up being, about hating fluorescence. But people seem to love the vibe I have in my studio, because it's, real chill, low light, different colors and lava lamps and stuff. And I think I was born in the wrong decade. It's like you walk in the 70s. But so that intrigues me that you did that. That, to me, I think sets the mood for everything. That was my formal
training, is professional photography. And that means in the studio as well as outside of the studio for years. But when I do work with bands, I do like doing more outdoor on location type of imaging. If I'm not working a venue where it's a live performance, then, clearly you can't control what the lighting situation is, which that is an entirely different animal when you're dealing with large bands inside.
You've got to be good to capture those moments. Because
aside of capturing the moments, the lighting is crazy.
That's what I'm saying, because that impedes so much. It can prevent you from capturing that moment. You see this lead singers in their space, and
not to mention they're continually moving the stage. They're all moving, they're all working their stage work.
Especially if it's a rock band, it's high energy.
It is, and so. I do a lot of rock bands, more the singer-songwriter that are staying stationary and not being so flamboyant in their performance. Right. Is very much an easier catch for an image.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So there's that aspect of it, and I started interviewing people as well, which I already mentioned to you. I hate hearing my voice.
I'm the same way. I don't think anybody likes the sound of their own voice.
So the interviewing I do, I try to remove my voice from my interviews. And we were talking about website work, too. We were all over the map prior to getting on the air.
We should have recorded that.
We should have. It was wonderful. The website that I have currently just touches on a little bit of what I do. I haven't updated an area where I've put the video work or the interview work that I've been doing. And I'd like to get more involved in that aspect. And I was actually contacted today by another musician to assist them with some video production for their Kickstarter. I do like working in that aspect. The video is just another way of translating, the imagery that I see when I'm doing still shots.
Your website is great. Everybody should go to that. We had the conversation a couple days ago, and I asked you, what platform you use to build your website. You use Wix.
I use Wix. It was just really simple and quick for me to put together and change. I'm constantly changing locations and adding different events that I'm doing and venues and where I'm going to be with art shows or tattooing. Of course, you mentioned that, if I do tattoo guest spots in different locations. I did some earlier this past month in Birmingham, Alabama, and that was fun. So I try to put my locations, up to date on the website, and it's an easy platform just to change within minutes.
Well, what I liked about it, and my wife, Haley, is awesome. She works in helping people with their blogs and internet marketing, and she's an author and editor, and she's helping build my website. Well, I say helping. She's primarily doing most of it. And she was trying WordPress. And WordPress is cool for certain things, but it was just way too difficult. And I talked with Brian Hood, who owns a studio in Nashville. I can't remember the name of his studio, but he has the Six Figure Home Studio podcast that I have binge listened to. There's like 38, 39 episodes. Met him at Summer NAMM in Nashville this year. And we talked for a while and got to know each other, and we got to talking about websites. And he said, dude, let me ask you something. He said, do you want to be a studio owner and a producer and engineer, musician, and all these things? Or do you want to focus on building a website? And I thought, well, that makes a lot of sense. So it's a whole lot easier, and I wasn't able to really get the look that I wanted. And of course, it's still in its infancy, but it's way better than what it was. That's a difficult thing. I mean, a website's kind of I hate to say an old type of technology, but there's a certain level of branding and authenticity, and you have to have a website.
I agree. You do have to have a website. And what I've been hearing from people, websites can be very cumbersome, and you can't figure out where to go next. And you need a map.
See, that's what I absolutely did not want. I wanted it to be simple.
Because when I go to a person's website, I'm needing information. I'm needing either their phone number, their email address. I need to see a little bit of what they do, who they are. And that's pretty much what I was trying to do with my website.
And it's good.
The little clean, precise, identifying each topic of what I do between my paintings, the tattoo work, the photography work, and how to contact me.
I mean, it's
and then a brief
what a website should be.
On the front page, just have a little bit of information about what's happening right now in your world, and
right.
Of course, always the access to your social media.
Well, in that same conversation that Brian Hood and I had, he was talking about how his first website, he had paid some developer that was a friend, or he had worked out some sort of barter thing. But anyway, he would have to wait on him to be able to update it. It may be a while before they could even get to it, and by that point, the information may be old. Like you updating it based on what town you're in, that's a good way to communicate with your your clients and
And
fan
that's
base.
if people go to it. Most people still rely more on the social media of the up to date and
yes
up to
and
minute,
no.
like where are you?
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people that do not use social media, and they do go to the website for your current information.
Well, I mean, when you really want to go to a business, you go to their social media and you find out what their website is. About you videoing and doing photography of bands, I'm really interested in that. Your website has Stone Temple Pilots with their new singer.
Yes.
And forgive me, I can't even remember his name.
Adam.
I have to confess, I've not really listened to much of the new stuff. I don't know. I'm kind of partial to Scott Weiland. I've had a little bit of a struggle with that one, so I've got to make myself listen to it.
Rough time in their band life. But he's
Did you get to
handling it very well.
Interact with any of these guys, or are you just kind of in the press?
It depends on what bands they are. This particular situation with Stone Temple Pilots, I just went in and photographed them and left.
What about
quite a few
Judas Priest or Chris Robinson or
that was at a festival, the Chris Robinson one. So I was not able. I mean, a few of the bands I did get to see and speak with after. However, I was moving on to the next bands that were on stage. So they were there around talking with everybody, you know, just socializing at the festival. Yeah, unfortunately, I couldn't hang out and chat.
Yeah.
As much as I would love to.
He's somebody I would like to sit down and talk with.
Right.
Because I love his solo stuff better than the Black Crowes. It's just like the New Earth Mud.
New Earth Mud. Not too many people know of the New Earth Mud. I actually got to see him years ago perform in an intimate little cafe with the New Earth Mud, and he handed out those CDs
it's so good.
to us and spoke with us.
So
it was incredible, and that is still one of my favorite CDs to this day.
Yeah, absolutely. That one, the New Earth Mud and the Magnificent Distance, those two records are incredible. If you remotely like good music, you should check that out, especially if you're into the Black Crowes. But maybe you're like me, you like the Black Crowes, but you like Chris Robinson and wish Rich Robinson would turn his guitar down sometimes. You know? But
well, I've been following
his solo
them.
stuff's good, and the new Black Crowes stuff. I can't even remember the name of the album, but it was like a double record. It's really good. It's like they kind of came into their own. But the Brotherhood is really good too. Anyway.
Yes. So check that out. But the New Earth Mud, that was kind of a little gem that slipped under everybody's, you know, nobody really is familiar with that.
It was totally under the radar, and I don't even know how I found out about it. But it's fun to talk with somebody that actually knows what I'm talking about.
I was lucky enough to be there when it happened, and he handed them out personally to this crowd of probably 50 people. We were just engaging with them.
Literally doing the grassroots thing.
He really was during the New Earth Mud, and that was very, very short.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It didn't last but just a few years. But
that's
really cool to hear that he was doing what a local band would do.
That's exactly what
he totally went back. And that's really, I can imagine that would be hard because he's a celebrity. You know, he could probably just use that celebrity power to have done, you know, to have not done the grassroots thing. But I don't know, mate, there's got to be something.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't get to speak with him and
that.
ask what happened with all of that whole process. There was something happening in his world that...
Yeah, it had to be.
You know, of course, as we all go through different things, it was whatever was happening in his world. But I appreciate the music that came from it.
Oh, the writing's incredible. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I can't say enough of it. It's a great record. So what other projects do you have coming down the pike?
Well, I still have a lot of painting that I do. I do a lot of pet portraits. So I work with a lot of animal rescue facilities. I have a show coming up November and December in Arizona in a small town of Bisbee that'll be showing for 2 months during the holiday season. Then when I get back, I do have a series of tattoo appointments scheduled for right when I get back, like the next day. I also have a lot of photography work that I am probably going to be working on when I get back from this particular trip, as well as other bands that I've photographed, and I need to edit and get those online. I just got contacted today from another musician out on the East Coast area, where we are currently more east than Arizona, which is west, to assist with their Kickstarter and some portrait work that goes along with it. You know, stills go along with a lot of the video. So there's a lot more going behind a Kickstarter project than I think what people realize. There is a lot of time and effort. Getting the footage, getting to know the artist is important to see what type of persona they want to relay to, the public that is going to be investing in them. I have a few projects here locally, right here in this studio. I have Shauna Tucker's.
Shauna, yeah.
I also have the Shauna Tucker's EP cover. I have AMP logo.
Daniel Clater's AMP logo you're doing, right?
Yes.
So
we'll be working on that with him.
I met him a couple weeks ago. He was here at the studio. I'm pretty sure he would be okay with me saying this. I'm a guitar player. That's my main instrument. I play other instruments, but that's my go-to. And so being the studio tone nerd I am, we got into that rabbit hole discussion of amps and tone and things like that. He's got a really interesting perspective, and a simple answer he gave was most of your tone from your amp comes from your speaker, which is a duh statement. But we spend so much money trying to get these pedals and this and that. He said if you want to impact your tone massively, that's going to be your best investment is buying a good speaker. So guitar players, if you're listening, Daniel Clater Amps. He's a good dude, seems to be. From what I can tell, I've heard nothing but good things about him.
Well, I had to call him yesterday for an emergency amp issue.
Oh, wow. See?
In Studio B. So he responded within minutes.
What happened?
Just some crackling noise that was on one of the amps that Hank was trying to use in his recording.
Now, see, that's awesome.
So he came immediately to the rescue on the phone, and I think he might be out there doing a in-house service at this point.
That's awesome.
So,
he's got a new amp company that he's started.
Yes.
Where he's doing a lot of custom I think
builds.
he's building his own amps.
He is.
Customizing people's amps. Anyway.
As far as after that, I do have some other projects designing wine labels.
Oh, neat.
Doing also some photography for particular events that people need me for. So I'm just building my reputation in a different way. It's still the same work that I do. I'm getting more involved in the music industry, even though I've been in it, dabbling in it.
I find that really interesting. You talk about designing wine labels, logos, album art.
It's all the same. But it comes from in your head, and it's like what you see, your what they're trying to visualize, and they have to relay it to me verbally, and then I have to make it the actual image that people see.
Yeah, what I find most interesting about it is not only is it great art, but to me, if somebody's an artist and they're trying to figure out how to make money at this, trying to figure out how to market themselves and think outside the box. This is definitely thinking outside the box because there's so many people that need art and design and logos and imagery across all businesses. I mean, wine and album art are totally different businesses, but they may appeal to the same clientele, it may not. So I find it really fascinating and encouraging, actually, that you have found a way to diversify what you do with your art. And not necessarily that you just do photography and paintings and videography and all different types of art mediums, tattoos. But you also have found a way to market yourself to different business types. Has that just kind of happened organically? Has it been intentional?
No, it just happened organically. It's just more of your networking and who you know. I don't seek it out, which is kind of an odd thing.
See, I find that even more intriguing.
I usually meet people, and I know it sounds strange. I meet people, and then they check out my work, and then they ask me for work.
No, that's really how it should be.
I do
let
people know what I do.
Yeah.
When people ask, obviously people ask, what do you do? Or word of mouth gets around. And now with social media, it's easier to find people what you're looking for.
Well, I find that very encouraging because there's always this thing about the starving artist, so to speak, or the starving musician.
Yeah.
But the music industry has obviously changed drastically, and everybody's trying to figure all of that out. But you just mentioned having a great Kickstarter account for Hank Irwin and other people as well. So there's ways to do this. There's definitely options and opportunities for people where it may seem bleak, but if you look at somebody like you, you're doing just that. You have figured out how to diversify your talent and skills across a wide range of businesses that need what you do.
I think it's history of experience from my past, to the present time where we're always continually learning.
Oh, yeah.
And reinventing ourselves, even though the work I've been doing has been consistent. I just break into different marketing areas based on the people I communicate with.
Well, you also strike me as somebody, it's kind of like I am. I mean, any true artist really doesn't just kind of revel in what they've done. They're always on to the next thing.
Trust me. I have many on to the next things in my head down the road.
Well, that's why I asked you what really your plans were for down the road.
Yeah,
because
and there's probably stuff that I haven't mentioned yet, as far as there is a Las Vegas show I completely forgot to mention.
What is that?
Well, Las Vegas.
I mean, Las Vegas. I know what Las Vegas is.
Yeah, Las Vegas has
the show?
An art scene that they've been cultivating, and it's First Fridays.
Yeah, we have a First Fridays.
A lot of people do, but Vegas is over the top now with their First Fridays.
Cool.
It's a street load of artists. People have been coming around. I would say they've probably been doing it for the past 7 to 5 years. A lot of my customer base has been asking me to come out to do it. So I think this fall I'm going to step over there. Vegas is not very far from where I live in Arizona.
Oh, cool.
So I might be trying that out for October. And then I'll be heading back out this way, East Coast, for November and December.
That sounds really
So there's
interesting.
other things on the West Coast that I have planned as well.
That's awesome. Well, thank you.
Thank you for having me here.
This has been really interesting. I'm a huge fan of art. If I win the lottery or whatever, my house will probably be filled with art. And I love local art and I love new art because I love discovering art that you've never seen before. I mean, you've got your Van Goghs that are classic, but everybody loves that. Or I say everybody should.
Right, yes.
But
local art, I know when I'm visiting a location, I do too, and it is easier to order now online from different artists that you discover out there and become familiar with. And it's just a text message, email away,
And how cool is that? I mean, that is...
That is one thing I do like about technology. Most of the time, it's that love-hate relationship we all have with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the ability to put yourself out there and for people to see it, because I think that's one of the most difficult things for anybody in any type of art is to get word out and for people to see or hear what it is you do. Because most of the time when people see something great, they want a part of it. But unless they know about it, they just simply don't know it exists. But that ability is amazing. Mm-hmm. So wrap this up, I guess. Is there anything else you would like to say?
Thank you for having me here. And I'm available for anything that people need art-wise, whether it be a painting or photography, design work, even video projects.
So that's the Funky Side Studio.
Yes.
Fine art and tattoo design, Jan A. Bruso. Thank you again. You got a word of advice for anybody wanting to do what you do?
Oh, that's for a different segment we need to do.
That's a whole different topic in itself.
Yes, we can do that.
Not to speak for you, but I would say pay attention to her because what she's doing is working. And I find that very, very encouraging because there are so many amazing artists and musicians and super talented people that if they simply figured out how to get themselves out there and for people to know what it is they do and how to network and be a cool hang when you meet someone face to face, that to me translates to business, a wine business, needing your art. Like, hey, this is the right person for this job. We have this need. And maybe sometimes they don't even know they have a need until they meet or see what it is you do. So check her website out again, www.retroartbyjan.com. Be sure to follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Also, we're on Spotify, YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes. Be sure to leave us a review. We would very much appreciate it. And as always, thank you again for listening to the Tape Noise Podcast. Stick around. We have more exciting interviews to come.